Hi, everyone. Quick disclaimer here for our podcast. We just want to let everyone know that even though we are therapists, this podcast and the contents of our podcast do not serve as therapy and they are not a replacement for therapy.
So my program went fully online and my job went fully online, so they sent us home too. So I
Oh,
was just home hanging out with my dogs and the dog and the new puppy we had gotten, signing into a Zoom to do my lectures, my classes, because that's how they were doing it at the time. I started my internship fully online.
yeah.
So my first year internship, well, so it's technically my second year, right? Because it was my
The
second year.
first year is not internship. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
The first year we didn't do internship, so you start that the second. So my second year, I did my first internship, which was through my community mental health job. I just did a therapist, like a therapy related internship with them. Um, Kind of the nice part is that like I was already embedded to the program, and so then like my supervisor would just assign kids to me to do therapy with, and I would do virtual therapy with them. Um, so that's what I did. Very easy because nobody was there like shadowing me. Nobody was really watching.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there were very rare occasions when my supervisor would shadow me, but other than that, we would just have conversations around how like my sessions were going and treatment planning and discharging, things like that. Um, my second year, I remember I joined this like panel where past students would talk about their different internship experiences. And again, I thought I went to school to be a therapist. So
Yeah.
I was doing the mental health route concentration to be a therapist. But that when I joined that panel, I learned about medical social work, and there were some students that had worked or interned at Denver Health, Children's Hospital. There was one other one. And I mean, that sounded intriguing. So then when I
Yeah.
came to apply, I applied to Denver Health, I applied to Children's Hospital. Oh, I applied for this adoption agency. So this is where I learned to apply for more instead of
Put
just,
more eggs in your basket.
yes, spread them out. Um, there was another one, but I don't remember what else. Those are the three I remember. And I did get the Denver Health offer, and they were so rude because I asked for more time to decide. Because my first pick was Children's Hospital. That's because I had worked with
Right.
kids. My background was working with kids and in other jobs as well. And they were so rude. They were like, "No, we can't give you more time. We want to give this opportunity to someone who is actually interested, and it doesn't seem like you're that
Oh
interested."
my
I
gosh.
was like, "All right, bet." Um, so I declined.
Okay.
I was just like, "Okay, well, let's hope to hear back from the others." And I did hear back from the others, but then like way later, like everybody was already having their getting their internship secured and everything, and I still hadn't decided because I was really set on the children's one. And eventually I did. I did get it. I did hear back from them, and I did
Just
my
took a
internship.
while.
It took a while, as a lot of things did with them.
S- So you put your eggs, you like put more eggs in your basket and then you like grabbed them and threw them out.
Yes, yes. Yep.
Yes.
I was still set on one
we're
place.
still we're
And
still
if
trending in the right way.
yes, if that one didn't work out, I don't know. Actually, no, that's not true. I had a backup.
Oh,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure. Yes, yes, yes. I remember. I accepted the adoption agency one because I was like, if
Oh,
I don't
okay.
hear back from Children's, I'm gonna have nothing because time, like a lot of
Yeah.
time was passing, and I wasn't hearing back from them. So I did accept the adoption agency. And then when I turned them down, they were super sweet. They were so nice about it. They were like, when you finish school, if you're looking for a job, like, please come
Oh,
back and consider us. They were so
they
nice.
weren't like Denver
They
Health.
weren't like Denver Health. Um, so yeah, I got that internship. I did my 1 year there. Children's actually required me to be there more hours than my program for school did. So I
Oh,
was there like
interesting.
24 hours a week, and that was not what our program required. Our program required like 16 hours, I think, a week.
Yeah, it was not, it's like 2 full days of internship.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And children's wanted us there 3 days a week, which yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I did actually really enjoy my internship experience there.
Well, I think by that year I was already starting to work at the county. I was already starting to work in child welfare. Well,
Mm.
because so like part of my graduate degree was like I got that stipend. So there's a stipend that's available if you know, there's a bunch of stipends that are available actually.
Mhm.
But one of them was the like child welfare. Like if you're going into child welfare, they'll give you a stipend and you don't have to pay it back. You just not in terms of like money, like you pay them back the money, but like you pay it back in service,
Work.
right? So
Mhm.
like however many years you got support is however many years you have to work in that field later on after you graduate. So I had gotten that stipend. Again, I thought this is what I was gonna want to do and was gonna be in. So I had gotten that stipend and then I started working at Arapahoe County, which my grad school friend, she had interned there. And
Mm.
then we had a professor who was working there who really liked us and like I was going to be on her team and stuff. So I applied for the job, I think like in April, like before I had my son. And then I got the job and they were not like Denver Health. They're really great. And this professor was like really like wanting to work with me. And so I got hired, and like typically you start after you graduate, which is like in June, because you know you finish school in June at DU, and then you graduate, and then you start because you can't start till you've graduated.
Okay.
But I was postpartum, so I was like, "Can I get some more time, please, before I start, so I can have like a maternity leave?" And they were like, "Yeah." So I still was able to get my 3 months off
Oh, that's awesome.
with him, maybe a little bit, yeah, like right around 3 months. It started in August, like mid-August. And then I was working there for a bit, and then COVID hit, and then we also went like pretty much fully remote. Like we just had to do our home visits, but we weren't having to come into the office. Like we weren't having to go into court
Mm.
physically. So it was, like I had just enough time to kind of like get the flow of things, you
Mm.
know, and like figure out how things work. And then we went for fully virtual too, except for like home visits. But you kind of like managed your own schedule, you know, like you submitted your stuff, you scheduled your home visits as like, you know, they require you to see them, but you could schedule that whenever. So I would do like a full week. Same, I have that trend too where I'm like, let me just struggle for a little bit and make
Mhm.
this week really hard, and then this week will be like really easy. So I
Yeah.
would put as many of my home visits as I could into 1 week of the month.
Okay. Okay.
And then that was my like week of like you're driving around, you're seeing kids, like you're really busy, but then the rest of the month was like, okay, now you're home, just like writing notes, making, you know, like doing all the other things in court, of course, and stuff like that. But I didn't have to like be out
Okay. Okay.
all the time.
That doesn't sound so bad, I guess, when you look at it that way. Like if you just get through that 1 week of like
Like,
like you're actually focused on the job and like you're doing it all and having to leave the house
yeah.
because
Yeah,
COVID
because
was
that
weird
was the big
times where
thing.
nobody left their house.
Exactly. So it was like, and well, I would have to drive, right? Like, I would have to drive around. So it was like leaving all the time to drive, like throughout the month was kind of like, you're not going from the office, you're going from home. So it was just easier to like stack them up based off like where they lived. So I would do like, if they were close to like my son's daycare, I would do morning ones with them. And then I would like, you know, either start there with the families that needed early appointments, or I would end there with
Mm.
the families that needed later appointments. So I could just like drop him off, go, or pick him up and like right after them. So it was nice to be able to like schedule it in that way versus when we had to be in the office, it was like, okay, like you have to be in the office. So you would go do a home visit, come back to the office, go do a home visit, or, you know, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it was nice to be like, okay, I can always schedule so I can pause at home, you know, or I could pick him up early and then go home. So that was nice, I think. And then they kind of stayed that way. So I was there for, I think, like 2.5 years.
Okay. That you
Yeah,
worked
because I
there.
started in, yeah, because I started in 2019 and I left in 2021. Like I was like, I left a couple months before my 2 years, I think, actually.
Okay.
So I completed the like 1 year requirement and then I
Mm.
left. But
Okay.
it was, they never really went back to in person, even like in 20, like 2020 was obviously still virtual.
Mhm.
But even 2021, they were like, there was some people showing up to the office, and like you could use the office, and like sometimes people had meetings there and stuff like that. But it wasn't required to go. There
Mm.
was still that flexibility.
I think that was, I guess, one of the nice parts that came after COVID is a lot of jobs did start offering more flexibility, and some kind of stayed that way. Others didn't, right? Others reverted back to like the old school,
Yeah.
everyone's in person all the time, but some were more flexible.
Yeah, some stayed hybrid. Yeah. And so I did that after my internship where I was going like 3 days a week so that I could get all the hours I needed before I was due. And it
Jeez.
was kind of like because my internship was in that, the job was kind of like it was easier to learn the
Mm-hmm.
job, you know, like it was still kind of nerve-wracking to be like, okay, you're the like sole caseworker, and obviously there's like cases that are like harder than others. But it was nice because it was like, okay, I did my internship in this, so like I knew the terms, like I knew the systems, like things like that. Knew how to write notes.
Yeah, that would be helpful. No, it was like it was, I guess even for me, right? Like I did my internship at the place before I worked there, and it did make it easier just to have had that experience before that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that it does make it easier because you kind of have like, you kind of have like your foot in the door. You're a little bit comfortable. Like, if you worked at the same place that you actually did your internship at, like the same location, like you have that comfort of like, how to get around and stuff like that. I think, yeah, those were our grad school experiences, kind of like overlaying into like some work experiences that we both had around the same time period.
Hmm.
So we're gonna leave this on a little bit of a cliffhanger because, of course, we're kind of leading into how we met, right? Like at some point, our paths have to cross. But I think we should just leave a little cliffhanger here. And I'm sure some people know how we met, but
Some people, but not everybody, not the whole world, not the 50 million people that listen to us. They don't know how we
exactly.
met, and so we will be talking about that more next time.
We know
So
you're really excited.
I know. So stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.